Well, hello friends. Today I'm going to show you how I fillet my catfish. This fish is pretty big. I caught him yesterday. My husband put him on ice after he gutted him and cut the head off and cleaned him off. I am now able to handle this fish because otherwise that would not be possible. So, anyways, let's get to work. Here I am just kind of feeling around to see how much of this fish I'm gonna keep. It's a pretty big fish, so I think I'm going to try to fillet both sides and keep the majority of the meat. What's left will be just little scraps that are just too small to try to fillet. So here you see me starting with the back side of the fish. I am proceeding to cut along the rib of the fish, and I'm just sticking my knife in here because the fish is so big. It was hard for me to cut all the way through, so I am just kind of doing it piece by piece. I am laying my knife flat against that rib bone in the fish. I think that it's definitely easier to fillet some of the smaller size catfish, at least smaller than this one, maybe half the size of this one, because trying to fillet this humongous fish was a task. However, I did get through it. As you can see here, I am working my way step by step through to the other side of the fish. Believe it or not, this knife is pretty sharp. However, this is just a big piece of meat. It was hard for me to handle. But I made it through. So now I'm going to finish cutting through to the other side, and I'll slide the knife up on the belly side of the fish and cut off the remaining piece of meat that's still attached. This fish was huge, so I'm gonna get a good bit of meat off of him. Alright, so now here we are, and I'm cutting through those last little pieces on the end. And look at that slab of meat there, you guys. It's a pretty big piece of fish. Towards the end, well, after I've finished filleting the other side, I am going to cut this in probably about 8 pieces. Look at how close I came to that bone on this side. Now there's still the parts that were down around the belly that I did cut off and try to work my way through, but I feel like I will probably never do that again. That piece of meat doesn't really taste that great. So, alright, now we're going to work on the other side. This side was even harder than the other side because I didn't have as much traction on my cooking sheet that I was using as a cutting board. You see my daughter sneak back in. Alright, well, I'll let you guys finish watching the rest of this fillet process. And here we go. cutting through the other side of this meat. But it still worked out, and in the end, I was left with 2 nice sized slabs. I usually throw the rest of this away and put it in the compost bin. So whatever's left, that's what we'll do. We'll just put it in the compost bin. Here you see me trying to see if there's any more meat that is big enough to cut off. And I did cut off those 2 flaps that were around the belly side, but like I said, never again. I can just throw that away because it doesn't taste as good as the rest of the fish. Alright, so here we go, guys. I ended up with 2 slabs, and I ended up cutting these into maybe 4 pieces of a very nice size fillet. So